Hey, Mama. Welcome back to the Mom Walk Collective podcast. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Ari, and we are two moms just trying to navigate through motherhood, but today we are three.
We are so excited to continue to introduce you guys to our ambassadors all across the world. Today we have our Riverside ambassador. Casandrah is crushing it at her walks, as well as a mother, a wife, a businesswoman. We're so excited to hear from her. Casandrah, can you say hi? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey mamas, my name's Casandrah Arellano and I am a mom of two. I have a son, his name is Lennox and he is 4 years old, and my daughter Liv just turned two. I'm also a wife. I have a husband, Bryce, and I'm a business owner. I'm a working mom, and I am the ambassador here in Riverside. And I took that role back in November of 2022, and I'm absolutely loving it.
And you are crushing it. Like, you
She's
have
crushing
hundreds
it.
of women showing up to your walk, and you are currently managing it all on your own, looking for a co-host. But we know firsthand managing 100 women at a mom walk is a
Oh,
lot. So props.
literally,
Mhm.
we like when we start seeing your videos go off, we're like, what? Like, this is crazy. So even it just shows like we adore you so much, because someone to be a leader like that, sacrificing your own time, we understand even to how much emotionally you pour out for your city. And we're just so honored to know you. And we're excited for everyone to get to know you on this podcast. Um, so yeah, we'd love to just talk a little bit about like pre-baby, and then I know we're going to go and talk about like fitness and lifestyle and everything post baby. So, what was your lifestyle like before having kids? Like, were you super active? Were you in this like gym scene, or what was your lifestyle before kids like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually been an athlete my whole life. I started playing softball when I was four, and literally played throughout college. So I went to Cal Baptist here in Riverside. I got a softball scholarship. So I played 4 years as a college athlete. And after graduating college, I started working in our family business and absolutely loved it, but there was just something missing. Like I said, I had always been an athlete, so that competitive aspect was missing, that physical aspect was missing. And I was just looking for something that would fulfill that.
I can totally relate to that. And I think, do you do CrossFit, or do CrossFit-esque moves?
Yes, I do. So after college, I found CrossFit. My best friend at the time actually opened up a CrossFit gym. And so when I went for the first time, like literally fell in love. I was like, this is my jam. Like, this is what was missing. And so I did. I fell in love with CrossFit. And I just like submerged myself. And a few years later, I actually met my husband at the gym. So that was another
Oh,
plus that came out of that.
What did you
Yeah.
wait? Did you know Ari got engaged at her CrossFit gym?
No,
We have little CrossFit girlies
no
on the pod.
way. We need
yeah.
to start a gang.
I
Yeah. So I'm
eventually will get back to my CrossFit days, but yes, yeah. Anyways, I want to hear more about you
that
though.
That's so cool. Yeah. So I met my husband there, and I remember, like, dating and thinking I would never date anybody from the gym, because you think
Mhm.
like these big old like muscle heads, like all into themselves. And he walked in and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is my husband." And so a few short years after that, I mean, we became best friends. Obviously, we always competed against each other on the low,
Mm.
and I always beat him. But
I like
we just
it.
that competitive edge I was talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so we got married, got engaged, got married a year after that, and then literally 10 months after we got married, we had Lennox.
Oh,
Oh.
So
wow.
that's
It's a
kind
little
of, yeah,
honeymoon
that's
baby.
Absolutely. 100% recommend.
Bound chicka wow wow. Where did you go?
Yes. We went to the Bahamas. Yeah, we went to the
Oh,
Bahamas,
Did
and that
you
was the magic ticket.
did you know, like, were you guys like planning on like if it happens, it happens, or just like, oh my gosh, honeymoon, we're in the moment, this is amazing?
We knew we wanted to start a family right away. We had traveled a ton with family before getting married, so we already had that going on. So we knew we wanted to have kids. So it's not like we were trying, but we weren't not trying,
Yeah,
if you
you're
know what I
not
mean.
trying, you know?
we
Yeah,
know. We
you know
know.
what I mean. Yeah. So, and before I was married, I didn't know what that meant. Like, okay, I'm not trying, but I'm not trying.
Yeah.
But then I knew what it meant.
You're not preventing, essentially.
Yes. Yes, yes.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then did you guys know you wanted the age gap that you have now with your kids?
No, no, no. So Lennox was a very colicky baby. After him, I did go through postpartum depression.
Mhm.
And at the time, we sold our old home, bought the home that we're in now, and had Lennox all in the same week. So, like,
Oh
it
my
was just
gosh.
crazy town. Yeah, and so
Wow.
then mix that in with a colicky baby, postpartum depression. I told my husband, like, I don't want any more kids. Like, this is it. I can't do it. Because I was just so overwhelmed, and to be honest with you, when I did go through postpartum depression, I didn't recognize it for what it really was, because I never thought that that would happen to me. I always heard like, oh, postpartum depression, and I would think like that's for crazy people, or maybe people, girls that
Mm.
don't have a good support system, or like maybe I don't, people that weren't believers. And I never in a million years thought that it would happen to me. And so I didn't recognize it for what it was. But the second that I did, fitness is one of the things that really, really brought me out of that.
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
But to answer
Well,
your question, no, I did not plan on that age gap. Like I said, I was like, no more kids. This is crazy. I'm not doing it again. I can't do it again. And then COVID happened.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
I was
Oh
gonna
yeah.
say, did you get
And
your
then
like
COVID
sexy body
happened.
back after working out, and then all of a sudden it was like boom? Because I had friends at Orange
Yeah.
Theory when I eventually switched over, that it was like, damn, every time we get in shape, I get pregnant.
Yep. That's basically what happened. I had more time to work out. It was COVID. We ended up building out our garage downstairs after I had Lennox because A, I love CrossFit so much, but B, as a new mom and struggling with postpartum depression, I didn't have the time, I didn't have the energy to get to the gym. So my husband, I mean, amazing man, was like, let's just build the gym in our garage. And so I'm like,
Wow.
that's genius. So yes, so we have everything that we need to get our CrossFit style workouts in, here at home. So I was putting a lot of work into my hot bod, and COVID happened, and bam, it was like, let's make a baby.
I love
I love
it.
it.
Baby number two.
Baby
Oh
number
my goodness.
2. So because this is like the biggest question, I think not so many people, but like before you ever have a baby, people are like, all right, 6 weeks, my doctor's going to get me cleared. I'm going to start working out exactly at 6 weeks. I know for
Mhm.
myself, Ari, I don't know about you, but at 6 weeks, I was super ambitious and was like, yeah, I'm going to try it. And I did one workout class, and it was a Pilates class. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. Like, what? Um, so what was that whole process for you of like really understanding, and especially I feel like people who have sports backgrounds and are really into the fitness scene, you're really aware of your body. Like you're pretty in tune of like, oh, I know my muscle's sore, I know where this is, or I know I'm working this. And you just have that mind to body connection. When was getting cleared and then really actually understanding physically, mentally, and then emotionally, like you started to find your rhythm to actually be improving yourself versus maybe overworking yourself or doing it for the wrong motive, or I don't know, would love to hear your process on it.
Yeah. So my doctor is actually a really good family friend of mine. She delivered both of my kids as well as both of my sister's boys. So she knew me, like she knew me personally, and she actually does CrossFit as well. And so I actually had a C-section with both of my kids. And so the hope was to get right back at it. But she knew me and she knew that I did CrossFit and that I'm crazy and that I would start deadlifting like 500 pounds again right away if she let me. So she kind of held back a little bit, and I was a little frustrated with the process because I'm like, no, like I just want to go. But looking back, like I'm so grateful she did because my body wasn't ready. Yeah, my mind and my heart wanted to get back at it, but my body wasn't ready. The second thing she did for me is she referred me to a pelvic floor specialist. Which I know you guys had one on the podcast and I absolutely loved it, because it's so important, especially as somebody that's eager to get back at it and to, start not only working out for physical health, but for mental health. You got to make sure that your body is ready. And so I did. I saw the pelvic floor specialist. And she was like, girl, you're good to go. Like, you are good to go. And so I don't know if it
Good.
was the fact that I had been an athlete my whole life. And with that first pregnancy, I worked out up until the day I delivered. Like, I was good to go. My second one can't say the same. But after Lennox, like, I was good. So she cleared me after about like 10 weeks, like 10 long, grueling weeks. But like I said, I'm so grateful she did. And like you said, after that first week workout that I did, I was like, oh, like I didn't really realize the trauma that my body had gone through physically,
Mm.
because my mind and my heart were like, go, go, go. Like, I want to get back after it. And so after that first workout back, I was like, okay, I need to do things right and I need to ease myself back into it because I don't want to, hurt myself, or I don't want to prevent myself from being able to move forward, going forward. So it was definitely a slow, steady process getting back into it.
That's so smart because that is one of the biggest issues that I saw with CrossFitters when I was in the CrossFit scene is like there's so much ego tied to working out, to lifting
Yep.
the heaviest, to doing the most reps, to doing it the fastest. And I can honestly say, like, even though I was a coach at the time and then now as like a postpartum mom, there is a recovery period for your body.
Yep.
And to expect that you would just be able to jump right into it right away is like insane. I know I had friends who went both ways.
Yeah.
And so good for you for recognizing that because I think controlling the ego before stepping back into the gym is like so powerful. Um, I have a question though, because from a working mom perspective, 2 kids, running a business, a lot of people could use that as an excuse to not focus on their fitness. And so how are you like systematizing your workouts, making sure that you get them in? Do you always work out at a certain time? Do you flex on the day? Do you time block? How do you make sure that you get your workouts in and how often are you doing them a week?
That's seriously a great question. I think there's one thing managing time. It's a whole different ballgame when you manage yourself, which for us moms, there's so many things that we have going on. I know we were talking earlier, and I have got a ton on my plate, but it's just something that I make a priority. And
Mm-hmm.
so getting back into it, I was like, look, I'm the like structure type. I like a good schedule. And obviously, when you start having kids, you're like, okay, yeah, that's all out the window. You can have a tentative schedule, and then you're going to find quickly that things aren't going to go that way. And so I really had to adopt the mindset of something is better than nothing versus a cookie cutter, like I need my hour-long workout. I need to warm up. I need to do my lifting. I need to do my Metcon. I need to stretch after. Like that all is not going to happen all the time. And so, like I said, I had to adopt that. Hey, you know what? Sometimes, walking on the treadmill for 30 minutes is going to have to suffice that, like, hey, my physical activity is done. I got my workout in. And some days is going to allow for a full blown, hour-long workout. But I really had to shift that mindset of something is better than nothing. And it's not always going to look pretty every day. There's some days where I have a million things going on, which are most days, that I have to wake up, super early in the morning, like 4:30, and get my butt out there, even though it's freezing cold. But I know that mentally throughout the day, I'm going to be able to show up as a better mom for my kids. I'm going to be able to show up as a better wife for my husband, as a better leader in business. I know the ramifications that I'm going to have by making that small sacrifice in the morning to get that workout in versus hitting the snooze button and saying, oh, I'll do it later. Maybe I'll fit it in another time. So just really just assessing the situation and managing yourself and just making that little small sacrifice of like, hey, I'm going to get something done versus nothing.
I love you, and I almost want Ian to just pull that little recording out and just use that as like my hype woman when I need to wake up early in the morning. Because once we get these kids like waking up at a consistent time, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna suck it up. I'm not a morning person, but I'm just gonna suck it up and become a morning person so I can work out.
It's like that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 launch, right? You just gotta boom.
We're even
like,
reading the 5-second rule right now.
Yep.
Wow,
Yes, it has been a game
Robbins.
changer. Yes.
No time to think. No time to think. Just go.
Nope.
This maybe not. I have such a different like TikTok for you page, but there's this trend going on right now where there's this certain sound and it says this audio of like, if you see me crying, like just let me cry because this may have been the first time I've processed, and then they say like what they're processing.
Okay.
Did you have any, because this is where my mind like instantly goes, but I think like for me, fitness, I'm very similar, like always been an athlete, always worked out. Like that's why I even started the walks. Like the walks have been like, my family knows, like if I go into a deep spiral, like mental spiral, my family's like, we're paying for a gym membership, we'll get you a personal trainer, we'll buy whatever classes. Like that is my, like, it pulls me out of the spiral so I can like think for a sec. But I know like postpartum, I've had workouts where I have started crying, and like it brings up this trend of like, oh, like if you see me crying, just let me cry, because moving my body has been the first time that like I had space, time, area to actually connect my mind, body, and heart all at once, where I feel like in motherhood, it's so crazy. Like our minds are constantly going like do, like I have to have this done so I get the laundry done in time before I leave the house to get this, and I have to have a snack and then dinner prepped, and so on and so forth. And like, oh, they're crying, like pause. Where like that working out space is so pivotal for me, even if it's a walk or if I'm taking a class, or even today I literally just looked into the YMCA. I sent Ari a text actually before this, so the fact that we're talking about this is crazy, because the YMCA here, side note, if you have a YMCA in your area, I'm pretty sure it's nationwide, but if you have a membership at one YMCA in your county, you get access to all of them, and they have kids care. Crazy stuff.
Wow.
Anywho, sidetrack. Back to the whole thing. Did you have any of your first workouts where you started to actually really process mentally that postpartum depression? I know you said that's kind of what pulled you out. What does working out do for you mentally? Have you had any breakdowns where your body was finally able to release things? Was there a clicking point for you where you're like, oh my gosh, like this is saving my life right now? Like, what was that like for you?
Absolutely. And honestly, Jamie, till this day, I still have them because motherhood is freaking hard. It's not just postpartum depression right after you have baby or like a few months later or a year later. Like there's still moments where you're like, shoot, is this real? And so till this day, I still get those moments, especially when I'm working out, because that is the kind of release, that is the outlet, at least for me personally, that I use to get a lot of me back. I don't know if it's because I was an athlete, growing up and basically my whole life, but after I had the baby and started going through that postpartum depression, I think those workouts was taking a lot of me back, those pieces, like, okay, I'm getting back to who I am, not necessarily chasing that, like, oh, that pre-baby body, but that pre-baby me, and so I think a lot of women look at that and like, oh, I don't want to do that, or whether it be fitness or whether it be shopping or whatever it be that they are into, they don't want to look at that avenue because they think it's selfish, but really that's like life-giving, when I started getting back into working out and pumping up the intensity, it's like I started feeling like me again. And I think that's when that like dark gloomy fog started to lift off of myself, and I'm like, wait a minute, like I can still be me. I can still be a great mom. I can still be a great wife. I can still be XYZ and be able to do these things without that feeling of like, shoot, this is selfish. And so I think, entering, and especially for first time moms, you got to be a little selfish to be able to show up as the best mom for your baby.
You have me like tearing up over here, because that is such a struggle for moms, including myself, of like, what is serving my family, because I'm pulling myself away and pouring back into myself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And I just had a friend actually reach out because she started doing ice baths again, or ice baths, and she's like, it took me back to my water polo days, and like it brought that like athlete intensity out of me. And I'm like sitting here like, okay, what do I need to be doing to like bring that back out? Because you really can't show up. And it's so counterintuitive, because you think like just being present for your children all the time is like really great. But in reality, my husband and I were just talking about this the other day, like they actually need some separation from us. We need the separation as well to be pouring back into ourselves. So then to show up as the best, because if you are just half-assing it, through life, they get that half-assed rather than your full 100%.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
I love you. Thank you.
Seriously. It's so good. Do you want to leave like any encouragement? Like, has there been, like to end off, like was that Mel Robbins, kind of like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like the 5-second rule? Was there something that you could give as a resource, or maybe just a word of encouragement for a mom who may be struggling with postpartum depression, or may has like a little fear going back to the gym? Is there anything you can speak, just some encouragement to her to end off the conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say definitely talk to somebody. That for me was a lifesaver. Like I mentioned previously, like I didn't even know what I was going through because I never thought that it would happen to me. But the second somebody said, hey, I think you're suffering from postpartum depression, and that person was close to me, like that made a world of difference. So I would say talk to somebody, and get back to the things that you love. Get back to the things that make you feel like you. And by no means or any stretch of the imagination is that selfish. And if anybody tries to make you feel that that's a selfish act, they're dead wrong. But get back to the things that you love, that make you feel like you.
Well said. Well said.
So well said. Seriously, thank you. We adore you so much. Like, you're crushing it.
Oh, well, thank you, girls.
Such a well of wisdom. Can you plug your personal social and your walk social, please?
Yes. So my personal social is Casandrah Arellano, and our walk social is themomwalkco.riverside.
Amazing. If you guys are in the Riverside area, feel free to sign up for one of her walks. Message her before if you're a little bit nervous to attend, especially with all those moms. She will love to come up, give you a hug, say hello, welcome you to the walk. If you don't have a walk in your area, go to themomwalkcollective.com, type in your zip code in our walk finder, and we'll find the walk closest to you. March 1st, it's looking like close to between 35 and 50 new cities. And so we are so excited to get more across the US. If you don't have one in your city and you don't see one coming up, we have an ambassador tab. Feel free to fill out an ambassador form, and we'll get back to you at the first of every month. This is the cringy part that we're now asking people to do. But if you enjoy these podcasts, could you please leave a comment or like it or share it? Anything. Subscribe. We're trying to get more resources available for you guys this way, and that really helps us. Other than that, Ari, you want to close us out?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cassandra, for coming on, sharing your fitness journey. We're excited to have you back on because this was so easy. This was just a like flowing conversation, and I'm sure people want to hear more. So we love you, Mama. Have a good night.
We love
good
you,
day,
Mama.
I guess.